Hey guys, this is Silver Ninja bringing another StarCraft 2 cast. This is going to be a team game on Monolith something. I can't remember the map name completely. This will be a diamond level, no, it's a platinum level team game with my friend Reckless, the red Zerg. His partner once again will be Bob Ross, the blue Protoss, and their enemies, I guess, are going to be Haste, the purple Terran, and his ally Watt, the light blue Protoss. So looks like he will be walling off here. Yep, sending that out a little bit too early. I think I'm actually going to fast forward a little bit, not too quickly, because I think this is an extremely long game and I don't want to talk for that long. So yeah, we do have the extractor going down. Okay, so production is open. We do just 2 gateways for both players. The rack's going down. Spawning pool. Fighting over this expansion. Looks like getting that pylon down going to be denying the expansion from Reckless until he gets those first few Zerglings out. Speed is on the way. Queen is coming out as well. And if we look at Bob Ross, he is doing 2 gate Zealot push. Looks like he will be moving out with 5 right here at the early stages of the game. Won't be able to do much against the Terran player Haste. He does have 2 more Raxes on the way at this point, and this is lagging because it is going so fast. So slow it back down. There is some incoming action. It looks like Sentry on the ramp, so we'll be able to force field if he does have the right amount of APM, and they are actually seeing all of this, so do have that watchtower, do see those 5 Zealots. Will be disappointed when Bob Ross runs up here. Will not be able to do anything. Backs out immediately without taking any damage. Needs to be careful though, because this Sentry will be able to block this. I think it can block this whole ramp. So yeah, there goes the force field at the very base of the ramp. Good play from Watt. And it looks like Bob Ross is going to have to either wait or back out. Ling's now out. A lot of Lings trying to run up this ramp. Another force field. Perfect timing on that force field. Another Sentry coming out just in time to block that off. Very good play right there. Having the reaction time to be able to do that. Looks like 2 more gateways getting thrown down back at the base of Bob Ross. Going to be trying to run up here. Once again, there is not enough for another force field, so this will be an attack commencing, and it looks like he won't have enough to hold this off. His ally is going to have to run out here with these few Marines he does have. The Zealots actually pushing back. 1 more force field being able to stop that. The Sentry coming out, I think, at the last second. Going to be fighting off these Marines, doing as much damage as they can, and now that the warp gates are completed, I think that he will be fine. Force fielding once again, so great force fields from Watt, being able to keep that early pressure out of his base, only taking a little bit of damage. He actually killed that little creature right there. That was pretty inhumane, to just kill that random guy hanging out. It was a Scantipede, I guess, which is a centipede scorpion. I don't know what that thing is. Anyways, we do have the 4 gate now up with the robotics on the way. The expansion for Reckless is down, staying outside front of these 2 players. Still force fielding, does have some stalkers now for that ranged attack, and they will be keeping the map control. Bob Ross and Reckless, that is, will be keeping the map control for a little bit longer, I think, until Watt does get enough units. Another force field could split that in half, losing some Zerglings there from Reckless. Not the best thing to lose in the early stages of the game. Zerglings are dirt cheap, but if you lose enough of them, they are very expensive. So it looks like Watt was supply block there, throwing 3 pylons down to one supply block himself. The Queen is coming out at the natural, and oh, I thought that was an in-base hatch for a second. That is a Roach Warren just completing, so we are going to be seeing some roaches. Bob Ross throwing down a robotics bay off of 1 base, which is not the greatest idea, but he does it all the time anyways, so we'll just let him do that and have his fun. The expansion is being built for Haste right now. 2 Thors are now out, so definitely getting the tech advantage at this point. The Terran player is definitely teching up, and I think that Bob Ross will be good to have these Colossus out, but they won't be the greatest. If this is a complete mech play from Haste, he will not be able to do very much with those Colossus. He will need to get some Immortals or possibly Void Rays. Void Rays are very good against Thors if they are spread out properly, since Thors do basically no damage to air unless they're clumped up. So easy to get a spread with those with those Void Rays. So we do have pretty Stalker heavy right now, so not the greatest, I guess. He does need some Zealots in here. What, going with that Stalker army instead. I don't think he has Blink or anything, not even a Twilight Council down yet. And he should be expanding pretty soon. He does have quite a few minerals. He just needs to get that good amount of units. And it looks like these Stalkers and a couple of Zealots are hanging out. Still keeping this initial map control, but there is a probe up here seeing everything at this point. It sees the entire army. This entire circle right here is spotted. There is an Overlord now at the gold, though, being able to spot when that expansion is taken. Looks like another push up the ramp, and it looks like it was out of position. Bad force field getting in there perfectly, being able to take out all of these sentries. A costly loss for Watt, and a good play by Reckless getting up at the perfect time. Going to be able to take out these Zealots as well. The Stalkers having to come back out and fight Zerglings, which is not the greatest. Could be taking some heavy losses, and it looks like his ally will be moving out with 4 Thors, which is going to be more than enough to deal with what Bob Ross has at this point. And looks like the little bit of Stalker Micro here will be able to take out the rest of these Lings. Not losing too many units, but Bob Ross does actually have an Observer in here seeing what's going on and not backing out there, so not a good choice from Bob Ross, choosing to lose his entire army. If you look at the army tab, Reckless has $150 worth of units, and Bob Ross has 625 to the 1,200 and 1,400, so definitely in the lead at this point. Watt and Haste. Haste is now taking his natural expansion. I think that Watt will be doing the same pretty shortly here, but this Observer will be able to spot it if moved correctly by Bob Ross. It is smart to do this. You don't want to. A lot of people I'll see, they'll rally their Observer to one unit in the enemy's army, which makes the Observer move around a lot more than it needs to, causing it to be spotted and more likely to get destroyed. So Roaches are now out. Good counter for those Thors. Tier 1 taking out Tier 2. And the Colossus are out, but Colossus really aren't the greatest in this situation. They will be able to do good damage against the opposing Colossus if he clumps his up too much, but he will have a Colossus advantage since he did go for that early tech, and will have an Immortal now coming out. So good play by Bob Ross, choosing to get an Immortal in there as well. You don't want to go too Immortal heavy because they really don't have a long range. They only have a range of 5. And Thors, I believe, have 6 or 7. I can't remember. They do have 7, actually, so they do have the range advantage, which is why a whole bunch of Thors fully upgraded will beat a whole bunch of Immortals just because of that range if they're fighting in a choke. Actually, or in a concave. It's happened to me too many times. So actually bringing SCVs out here as well to auto-repair these units. Still has the Watchtower. This one hasn't been touched this entire game. And it looks like Haste and Watt could be moving out here to try to do some damage. But I think that Reckless and Bob Ross will be okay. 2 Colossus will be able to deal with these Marines. And the Roaches will be able to deal with the Thors, excuse me. The Stalkers will be doing good damage, though, at the same time. He needs a few more Zerglings, I think. The Colossus getting free shots off, getting one Marine there frying to death. The Hydras are now coming out to be able to deal with these Stalkers, and these Roaches need to commit, taking a few extra hits, but losing a Colossus right there really fast to those Thors upgraded, or the Thors air range. Trying to take out the Colossus on this side, but good micro from Watt. But I think there are enough Roaches in here to be able to do the damage. 2 Immortals now out. A 3rd Colossus on the high ground with the extended Thermal Lance will be able to push this back. Could lose that one right there. The 2nd Colossus will go down as well to these Zealots running around at their little tiny, I don't know, like needle feet. I don't know how they can balance on such tiny little legs. They're like so top heavy. I wish there was a move that could push Colossus over and kill them. But we do have both expansions now up. Watt does not have any mining units at his expansion, and he is so low on probes right now. If we look at the units, he only has 33 probes versus the 45. Reckless definitely needs to drone up a little bit here as well, having 36 on 2 base. Looks like 4 more gateways getting thrown down, so going to be going 7 gate with 2 robotics off of 2 base, which maybe 1 extra gateway, a little bit too much, but if he does get the mining going here, he will be fine. So actually those probes must have been transferring because it looked like so many less when I looked there a second ago. So the economies are pretty much, looks like, even at this point. Bob Ross does have a little bit of an advantage, but these mules will be making it up for the Terran player. Going down another barracks, so going to be transitioning, I think, into more Marines. He already has a whole bunch. He needs to get those combat shields out. Stim is already done. We do have attack, ranged attack level 1 for the Zerg player. We do have charge coming out for Bob Ross, and +1 ground. As there's actually I don't even know how to say that. Gravitic boosters. They make observers go faster. It sounds really cool, but it doesn't do anything. So looks like it will be Stalker Colossus with a couple of mortals. The charge lots will be doing great damage. At some point in the game, he needs to get a good number of them though for them to be very effective, and could even go with High Templar. 1 or 2 storms on this little army would completely annihilate it. Switching into more siege tanks, already has +2 ground weapons for his mech. So these Thors and siege tanks are going to be extremely powerful. Chrono boosting out 2 more Colossus. There is a ping now going down. Looks like Bob Ross wants to attack there, and I don't know what he wants to do there. Maybe check for an expansion. But these armies do need to stick together. The charge will help out, but there are a lot of Hydras now and a lot less Roaches to deal with this mech. So I'm not sure how well this is going to go for Bob Ross and Reckless, but looks like these Colossus will be doing good damage. 2 more are going to come out here in just a second. So the Colossus advantage will go to what? Looks like they are going to have to back out of that siege tank fire, doing so much damage. You could turn and fight right now if you wanted. Get a few free kills on these Marines. Like the Hydras are going to turn around and snipe off these Marines so quickly. The DPS is insane on Hydralisks, especially versus Marines. And it looks like Reckless is going to be taking the gold expansion. So pretty ballsy move there. But there really isn't anywhere else to expand on this map. It has so few expansions. It has the one on the top right side, the one on the bottom left, which is now going to be taken, and then the 2 golds in the middle. So someone has to expand to the gold on the team to be able to keep playing in this game, or just keep such a low worker count that they have their main minerals the entire game, which usually doesn't happen. So looks like 4 Colossus now, some Vikings coming out, which is going to be extremely bad for Bob Ross if he does not find out that there are Vikings. Watt does have his own observer over here, and actually has 2, so going to be making sure there's no DTs or any other observers being able to scout his army composition completely. Alright, there's something. I just ate a whole bunch, so there's something stuck in my throat. And it looks like Mutas are going to get intercepted right here, getting 3 shots, taking 1 Muta out. They need to actually go for these Colossus if they can, taking a lot of damage right there. Another Muta could go down with only 1 HP. Reckless is going to be moving into position to protect his gold, and actually I think denied this. No, actually what does see this expansion, so it looks like they will be wanting to take that out at some point, or take the other one for their own. We do look, there is now ground armor level 1 for both Protoss players, more Vikings coming out, and an Ultralisk Cavern for Reckless will be coming out. So good choice from Reckless. Ultras are good against that mech being able to tank. It looks like these Stalkers are going to get intercepted by these 2 Colossus and the rest of these Stalkers from Bob Ross. Bob Ross should have stopped right there and got a few more free kills, but it looks like he wants to take out these Vikings, trying to keep his Colossus alive. Needs to back this last one up, or it could go down just right now. It looks like he may actually does go down. There are now 5 Colossus now for what though, and this is going to obliterate the army of Reckless and Bob Ross at this point. Not going to be able to deny this expansion, and losing their entire army in the process. Reckless does have a whole bunch of Zerglings left though, a page and a half to protect this expansion, but against this many Colossus, unless they get a perfect surround, will not do much. They will get roasted away. So these 5 Colossus are going to be very dangerous. 18 Roaches are now coming out. These Lings trying to get a good surround on these Stalkers, doing good damage, but there's just so many Colossus that they're just frying away before they can do their full potential. And I think that Reckless is going to lose this expansion. It looks like Bob Ross will be moving in with 3 more Colossus of his own and more Immortals to try and push this back. 1-1 upgrades for both players are done, so this is an even match. So there are so many more Colossus. The Roaches are going to be pushing up here and be able to do a lot of damage. If these Colossus can get to do as much damage before they get sniped from these Vikings, there's only 2 Stalkers left, so not enough. He needs to run these Colossus back. They are going to go down. He's not actually running these away at all, letting them die. So that is not the greatest thing to do. Not even attacking with his 2 Stalkers left, just kind of sacrificing them. They were sacrificial Colossus. Very expensive sacrifices right there. Not something you usually want to do. And, you know, sacrificing an Immortal there at the same time, doing a little bit of damage to that Siege Tank. That Siege Tank just got 2 kills and 2 shots. That was of actually worthwhile siege tank right there. So it looks like 1-2 upgrades for Reckless's ranged attacks, and I can't click on a Zergling because they're too fast. So 1-0 for his melee. We haven't seen any Ultralisks yet, but there are now 5 on the way right now. Opting to not get any more Mutalisks after that kind of terrible turn of events where he ran his Mutas through a Stalker army and it didn't work out so well. So no Infestors on the field, and Adrenal Glands have not started being upgraded, but it wouldn't surprise me if he did do that soon. He is on Hive Tech. And if we do look down here, Planetary Fortress is completed with a few siege tanks, and it looks like a missile turret going up in 3 spots to protect himself from those mutas that are no longer out. And it looks like the chitinous plating will be coming out for those Ultralisks, so we'll be going into Ultralisk heavy, and that is a scary army right there. Roaches and Ultralisks mining off this gold still hasn't actually lost this the whole game, and they do have an economic advantage as a team just because they've had this gold expansion. They will run out of minerals though here if he keeps mining this, so if they do not end the game before he is mined out, they will be at an income disadvantage to, it looks like, Watt, because he is now taking the gold for his own, and it looks like Reckless will spot this with that Overlord. So there goes the ping. They do know it's there, and they're going to want to put pressure on that and take it out. Looks like Phoenixes are now coming out for Bob Ross, 4 of them on 2 Stargates. So going to be transitioning into a little bit of anti-air to take out those Vikings, try to keep his Colossus alive as long as possible, and do some damage of his own to Watt's Colossus. There are 5 out once again. That +1 makes him do 17 damage, and there's 2 attacks. So Colossus do exponentially more damage as you upgrade their attack capabilities. These 4 Phoenix will do some help. There are now these now are Blink Stalkers, so it wouldn't surprise me if he blinks right on top of these and tries to focus these Colossus down. 3 Immortals in the back with 1 Colossus of his own. Phoenix are going to be coming in here, taking a little bit of damage, but looks like focusing down these so fast. Just more units right here. The Immortals doing so much damage against these Colossus and Stalkers, and that army just got taken out so quickly. Should have backed out there, leaving that probe to try to kill this one Zealot. He will be chasing him. Oh, actually, almost got that kill, but look, this expansion will get canceled there at the last second, and they will still be at an income advantage. And I don't know if Reckless is going to run headlong into this army. I really hope he doesn't. I kind of hope he does, though, because it would be really funny to watch. But this would be the time to do it. If he does notice that they are unsieged, he will have a perfect opportunity to get a surround. But looks like these siege tanks will be moving out to siege back up. Really clumped up, though. If there were a few Infestors out here, could do great damage against these siege tanks. Getting some free shots off, some free damage on those siege tanks, if microed correctly. So it looks like no more Ultras coming out. Just going to stick with these 5 and a whole bunch of Zerglings. And Zerglings are very powerful, if you haven't noticed, in large numbers. The Adrenal Glands still haven't been started, but we do have armor now coming once again. Level 2 Carapace will be finishing. So we'll be seeing, looks like, 5 armor for these Ultralisks with no attack, but that is ridiculous amounts of armor. 4 more coming out, and it looks like Hazel says, "Suck a dick, faggot." And I don't know what he is complaining about, but I think that Bob Ross was just messing with him. But that's pretty unsportsmanlike in my opinion. Lifting up the siege tanks, great play, being able to just take those siege tanks out of the battle, running down. He needs to blink these Stalkers up because these Ultras can't get through there, too fat. And it looks like they still will be taking this out handily, lifting up that last siege tank. The army coming in, stimming, trying to get in from behind, but it looks like Watt doesn't have anything left. He is almost mined out, and he doesn't have any more reinforcements, so this expansion is going to go down, even lifting up probes for absolutely no reason and dying because there are missile turrets there. But still, great play right there from Bob Ross and Reckless, taking out that army pretty handily right there, taking out those siege tanks completely out of the battle, letting them get set back down, and then letting the Zerglings just kill everything. Losing, I want to see the units lost though. Let's see. So, units lost. Reckless has lost 269 units because there are so many Zerglings in that battle, but he has lost less minerals than almost everyone else. So it looks like this is going to be a bad engagement. There are quite a few Immortals that are going to be doing great damage against these Colossus, or against these Ultralisks, but the Hydras are just going to melt that away so quickly. Immortals do not do a good amount of damage against Colossus, and it looks like He quit, maybe? It didn't say he quit, but it says his resources are now being split for his ally. So it looks like Haste is the only one left, going to be utilizing those warp gates to quickly morph in a few more units, but more Phoenix, more Stalkers, more Charge Lots, and more Immortals are going to be coming out. So it looks like this will be the end of this game in just a few seconds. I'm going to look at the APM just to make fun of these guys. Actually, it's not bad this game. Bob Ross is losing by just a little bit, and it looks like Haste did just get a whole bunch of APM there at the end. I don't know. He was clicking madly with his one unit left. But great game by both players. More Zerglings coming out. This gold expansion was one of the main keys. They took that so easily. Bob Ross actually expanding himself. They were just an expansion ahead, which is kind of expansion and a half ahead, since they mine faster from these mineral fields, and just able to get these ultras out. And that Phoenix late in the game was pretty clutch play from Bob Ross. So good team play from Bob Ross and Reckless. Good play by Haste and Watt as well in the beginning of that game, using those force fields, trapping some units, and just a little bit of miss micro there at the end, losing those sentries in the beginning of the game. So great game. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I will be trying to cast a few more. I've been pretty busy. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this though, and please subscribe if you did, and I'll see you guys at the next cast. Thanks for watching.